Okay, Pike County Commission work sessions now in order. First, we're gonna go ahead and recognize from the President's office, Mr. Jason Ellis. Jason, come on up, please.
Good afternoon. We have completed the interview process for appraiser one that was vacated, and we'd like to recommend Casey Churchwell be moved to appraiser one. In the event that happens, that would create a vacancy in the revenue commissioner's office, and we'd like to ask for advertisement of the customer service representative 2 position.
Anybody got any questions? Comment? Thank you, Jason. Appreciate it.
Thank y'all.
Next, we have our Pike County Boys and Girls Club with us, Isaiah and Ms. Natasha Howard. Y'all come on up.
All right, first of all, good afternoon, everyone.
Good evening. Glad to have you.
Yes, thanks to be here. Thank you, Chairman Sullivan. I'm Isaiah Scott. I serve on the board for the Boys and Girls Club. And we're just here today, first of all, to thank you all for everything that you do for each of our kids. Last year has not been the easiest year for the club, as it had been for a lot of us last year with the pandemic and everything. But I'm proud to say that we were still able to service our kids. And so each day we were one of the food service distribution sites for the county. And so we served over 25 to 30 children and families each day throughout this pandemic.
That's great.
And so we were able to, we've launched our after-school program that's still continuously going. And now, question for you all, what's up in the air now is our summer program. We don't know if we're going to be housed to have it. Because we had a few developers stop by the club and speak. I'll get to Ms. Tasha in just a second. And to speak to Ms. Tasha about, possible demolition of upcoming date for that. And so we have our families asking, and so we just want to get a little information from you all. But again, we're definitely very appreciative for every dollar sent, text message, email that you all do to advocate for our family and our kids. And now I was asked by Chairman Sullivan, we were at a meeting, he was like, have y'all hired a director? Yes, and this is Ms. Natasha Howard. I may be introducing her to some, but her face is familiar. Her mother is Councilwoman Howard Moultrie. And Ms. Natasha has been with us since August of last year. And she has been the catalyst behind making sure that our kids are serviced. So, Ms. Natasha, would you like to say something?
Just thank you again. And I'm just happy to be able to serve. So thank you so much.
Thank you. If y'all give me a few minutes in a little while, I'll talk to you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you all. Claire's not here and Russell hasn't gotten here yet. So Mackenzie, it's up to you.
All right, I start with the Emergency Management Director's report. Mr. Herb was not able to make it tonight, but he did ask me to let you all know that he has submitted the hazard mitigation plans, grant plans that he had spoken to y'all about. Don't have any information back on those right now, but they have been submitted. Also, he wanted me to let you all know we're going to be getting a little over 1,100 more Pfizer vaccines here in Pike County. And he is going to be, there's going to be a conference call in the morning with the hospital, and I believe the fire department, the city's fire department, and myself and her is going to get on there and talk about trying to find some industries and stuff, somewhere that we can go out and try to get those vaccines in people. Once we have more information on that, I'll let you know. If y'all know of a business that might want to set up some plans to come in and have their employees have an option to go and get those vaccines, let us know, and we'll be glad to get them added to the list to try to get those distributed. The next item I have, I guess I can kind of, if you want me just to go ahead.
Just go right ahead.
We are going to have an executive session. There's a matter of commerce and trade, and I've talked to Alan about that we need to go into during the regular meeting. Under my report, administrator's report, you have a letter in your package from Aero Disposal Service. They are our garbage pickup for the residents out in the county. They have been under contract with us for over 6 years, and in the contract there is a section where they can have a price increase based on the consumer price index. They have not enacted that over the last 6 years, but this year they are going to need to enact that. And it's a 34 cent per month increase. This will be on the next bill, which I believe is going to be, July 1st.
Okay.
So, but they're just letting you know that they are going to do that increase, and they've also included a spreadsheet on where they got that amount from, and how they came to that amount.
Is it pretty much just like a fuel surcharge almost?
It's just called the consumer price index. It's just to help with increasing costs for, that they're having to have from people to fuel surcharges to, cost at dumps to be able to dump the trash. They've been able to skip over having to do it for the last 6 years, but they said it's just come to a time that they're gonna have to, have that increase. The next item,
So in their contract, does it require we approve them, or are they
No.
just, because
it's just
I
to know
noticed in
that
the
they can do
letter,
it.
we're requesting your approval.
In the contract, it is in there that it is allowed to have it happen.
Just, Joe, I'm just asking, I was reading through their letter today, and I didn't know if the contract read, they submitted, we had to approve, or what?
I don't think you have to. We can take a look at the contract
We look at it,
before the next, for the meeting. But I don't think that they have to. I think it's just in there that they could do it in a year.
It may just be worded in the letter.
Yeah. I think when he and I talked, we actually discussed that it would not have to be approved by the commission, but they do have to let you know that they're going to do it, so that we can let people know that they don't have to get approval. But we will check that before the meeting. If that's all y'all have on that, the next item is gonna be the Boys and Girls Club appointment. Commissioner Harris was appointed to that board, and since then it has been vacant, so they are asking that we appoint, someone else to the board.
And just so you guys know, I've asked Miss Cynthia Pearson if she would like to fill that space, and she has agreed to do that. We're glad that she did.
The next item will be the Investing in Alabama ACCA program. I have given you all some information that they have given us so far. We have not had another meeting since our original meeting for that advisory committee, but in your package there is some information on what kind of support would be available. We're still a little iffy. We've not gotten guidance from the Treasury Department to really know what the money can exactly be used for. So I don't have that information for you still. We're still trying to do some research on that. I just don't have anything yet, but it does lay out quite a bit of information on what they want to do with this program if we so choose to become a part of the program. We have until May the 28th to make a decision on that, and I would say we still need to wait and make sure that that's what we want to do. There is an email that I just sent you all right before the meeting that has about a 10-minute video from ACCA that gives a little bit more information on it so that you'll know about the program. There's a fee structure to it, and it's an 8% fee of your funds that you'll be getting to be able to have access to this program over the 4 years that this program will be active. For the amount we're getting, you're talking about almost a $500,000 fee to ACCA. That sounds like a lot for us in Pike County, but I'm not so sure that it's not needed. I'm not saying it is or isn't at this point in time, but anytime we do grants outside, we usually have to pay some kind of administration fee or something where we get help to be sure that we're doing things right like they should be. So we just need to consider it, that I'm not asking for any action, just wanting y'all to be informed on it just as much as I'm being informed on it. So just take a look, and anytime I get some new information, I'll let you know and keep you updated on what I'm getting on it so far. There are, I would like to ask you all to start thinking about some programs that you might want to see happening around in the county, so that when they do come down with some treasury advice or guidelines, we can know whether those programs would qualify or not.
What is the this email you sent, the allocation, what's the allocation determination for each county? Is it blanket, like kind of like the CARES Act money, or does it depend on the size of the community, or how are they splitting the money?
It's
There's a
size.
spreadsheet out there where basically it's already been broken down. So the first part of the money's supposed to be positive, right?
Midway.
But there's what, 4 things in the act that are spelled out, and so the rest of the treasury, Boy Scouts, one of them is waterworks, broadband, I can remember lost revenue from, lost tax revenue, and there's one other thing.
I believe it may
It's
have to
really
do with
vague.
pay. Yes, I believe it may have to do with pay.
Yeah,
But it's very, very
it's very
vague.
vague.
You don't even know what you can do with broadband or whatever. I mean, so we just don't have a real clear picture on what we're going to do with it yet. We're gonna get it, that's all we're being told, we're never gonna get it, we just don't know exactly what we can put it on yet.
I've been hit up twice with groups that have asked me, and what I told them is put a proposal together. We have no idea yet, what and how we could fund anything, but put a proposal together, and, we got more information than we could get from
If you have any kind of idea though, just, I mean, come see me, we need to start putting our heads together. Just to kind of know where we're gonna go with it. So, but like I said, we'll just roll that down to current business. I'm not making a recommendation at this time whether we join the program or not. I just don't think it's quite time for us to make a decision yet on what we want to do. The next item, there's 3 new bank accounts that we need to open. The first is going to be for 2021 CDBG program, and this is the grant that we've received for 2256 and 77.
49.
49. McClure-Town Road, I know better than that. So we just need to, we have to keep those funds separate from other funds, and so we need to open that bank account. Hutton Project bank account, as you all know, I don't know if some of you have been, or some of your spouses have been to the new shops that are open here in Troy. There is a fee on there that, or there's an agreement between us and that project to pay some money once the place meets a certain standard of occupancy. And we've got to go ahead and start holding out those funds so that we can start paying them to that developer once they have met the occupancy. So we have got some information, we've gotten information on where to send the money and all that too now. We just should probably start seeing some funds come in next month from that. So we need to go ahead and have an account available to move that money to them.
You said they met that occupancy?
They have not, they're supposed to provide us with a certificate of occupancy once they have met. I believe it's 110,000 square feet has to be occupied. Does that sound right, Alan? I believe that's the right amount of the complex before we start, but we've got to go ahead and start holding the money out immediately. And I expect, from the date the Hobby Lobby opened, I expect we should get a payment at least from those tax dollars starting next month. The third item is the 2021 federal stimulus money, and this is so that when we do find out, we know how much money we're getting, but that we have a place to deposit it. They have not asked for where do they want it. They're telling us we're getting it in May, but nobody's asked where they should deposit it at yet, but I'm going to go ahead and get an account open so that we have a place for it to go once it comes in. Don't have any questions on that. The next item is there's a personnel memo that I've placed in your package. As you all know, we had an employee to leave us about, I guess, a little over a year ago now. And I think it's time, we've got a lot of projects going on in Pike County, and I think it's time that we look into advertising and filling that position. We're just gonna need some more help. We've got lots of new projects going on between the jail and our 200th birthday celebration that we're trying to get kicked off for Pike County, and just everything that's going on, our job classification study that we're working on getting set up. Jordan and I are actually going to meet with 2 different companies this week about this job classification study to get some information from a couple of companies. And I'm real excited to say that we've found a couple of companies here in Alabama, so they know more about our laws and stuff, and that really helps. So we're going to talk to a couple of those this week and see about how to move forward on that. But I just really, it's time that we have somebody else in the office to help with that. I know we have our interns. Our interns are working hard on getting our document imaging system up and going. We had a little hiccup with the program, but they got that fixed Friday, and they started re-scanning, getting information put into there, and I think it's gonna be a good thing. I've been able to use it for what I look for, and it's been wonderful. I can search a word and find something that I'm looking for so much easier than I have been able to do in the past. I'm very pleased with what we have so far with it. So, I am going to request that we be able to advertise for that position.
Kenzie, let me ask you a question. Will we keep our interns?
Yes, I think we need to, because we need to keep getting all that information. I want to go back many years in information and get that scanned in. So, we're just starting with this year first, but after that, we're going to go back a year until we can't go back anymore. I just think we're paying for it, we've got the space for it in our computer for it, and I think it's best to have it that way. So it's probably once a week that we go looking for an invoice from 5 years ago. I mean, it's not unheard of. We do it pretty often, a lot more often than people realize probably. So it's just a lot easier than trying to dig through stacks and stacks of paper, boxes of paper. To be able to do it that way. So no, I would like to keep them on if you need working. If y'all don't have any more questions on that, under current business, under the Pike County Jail, we have signed our construction contract, and they are hoping the notice to proceed. They're hoping on May 3rd. But we have, we're working on, and I believe I'll let you all know, but just to let you know again, May the 4th at 10:45 a.m. We're hoping to have a groundbreaking ceremony out at the site. So there should be some more information coming for that. But we're working on trying to get something done there. So just go ahead and add it to your calendar. And other than that, I believe that's all I have. I will say the next scheduled meeting is on a county holiday, and we'll need to decide if you want to reschedule it or skip it.
Any questions for Kenzie? Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Just as an update, Mr. Chairman, on the number 13 Walmart
Yeah.
Road. Everything's ready, it's just, I've got to get a clarification and he for me with Trey. And frankly, it just been a matter of trying to hook up on the phone they want to own the road versus they just want to get control and maintain it. And I understand, Ms. Pearson, they remember, the minutes all reflect from way back then, which was 2002, that we were going to convey the road and let Brundage assume the ownership and control, and I think that's still going to be the case, but
All right.
I just gotta get that, because that would change whatever we do, and I don't think that's gonna change, so. But it's not, I mean, Brundage is maintaining it now,
Okay.
doing everything, nothing's changed, so I just gotta make sure we do exactly, get on the same page at all.
Thank you. Russell, come on up and tell us what you got. Good afternoon. Good evening. Under new business, all we have is our monthly project update. I don't have anything specific there to point out other than the turf spraying contractor. It should be finished now. The guy sprayed and said he was going to finish this afternoon, so if he kept his word, they're done with the first round of spraying. And then under current business, we have a few items we need to go over with you. The first one is our personnel recommendation from the advertising, recent advertising we've been doing. Just hand these out. Give this memo of detail of our recommendation. And there's a second memo with that one that I'll get to in just a minute. that top memo there is the recommendation to get us back to within one of what our budgeted workforce is this year, as it says on there. And then, secondly, the county fuel system upgrades, the memo for that is actually in your agenda package behind our monthly project update. And it just kind of gives you what our request is and the cost breakdown and the cost sharing agreement that McKinsey has already, hopefully, given her stamp of approval. This is kind of how we did the last time that we made upgrades to our system. As you know, it is used by all the county departments. And so we just kind of split up the cost between the general fund and the gas tax fund as, pro rata. And then, next, we have the information that you requested at your last meeting for the proposed roll-off dumpster sites. So we provided there the site preparation cost estimates for prepared sites for those.
The 1A site, all of our,
Yeah, after looking more closely at it, I don't think it's feasible. I think the other one is the, and we did spell out some reasons why in the memo. Plus, it just really wasn't a good open site there that, wouldn't require moving something else out of the way. We did have the FHWA funding agreements, and y'all approved 2 of those at your last meeting. We're expecting another one. I was hoping to get the other one, which covers all the small projects that we've already completed. But it did not arrive in time to bring it tonight, so we'll have to bring it to the next meeting.
as requested, Commissioner Copeland worked up some cost on the security, camera security for the dumpster sites. I'll email that to you just so that everybody knows what we would be looking at. So just outline, this 9180 is what you're thinking is in addition to the spreadsheet you gave us at the last meeting, which was the acquisition, the payments to Coffee County to actually get the dumpster sites. This 9180 is what we feel like it would take to site prep the 4 sites, to put the dumpsters in and make them accessible. So we're looking at an additional capital cost of an additional $5,840 on top of that 9180 for camera systems at the 4 sites, internet service at the 4 sites, and the poles to mount them on, that the sheriff would be willing to use and monitor to enforce, proper use and use of those sites. So I'll get with you and we'll try to take the first spreadsheet you gave us, this info tonight, and this 5180, and come up with a total per site capital cost, and then we will be looking at $6,240 a year total. So for internet service at a year for all 4 of the sites, for the feed to be able to be sent back to a server system for the sheriff to use to, and you want to make it, it's awesome abuse of the site, so.
Does that include the cameras and the internet access?
The capital cost is $5,840, that's one-time fee stuff for all 4 sites.
Okay, and the other.
The $6,240 is an annual cost of internet for all 4 of the sites, so that will be reoccurring a year of $6,240. So we'd be looking at, my phone's charging in Jordan's office, I don't have my calculator handy, but about a $15,000 capital cost to get the 4 sites going, plus the $6,240 divided by 12, and the fee, monthly fee, the Coffee County cost, add those together for a monthly. Oliver and I'll get together and get y'all an email put together on reoccurring cost in the capital cost.
All right. What else, Mr. Russell?
That's all we had.
Questions for the engineer? Okay, thank you. Thank you. This is Ms. Claire. Welcome, Ms. Claire. Come on up to the microphone, please.
Okay, I'm gonna talk from this whole notebook. No,
I can give you about 5 minutes.
really? Well, I'm glad I wrote it all out then. I've got everybody copies because I'm talking about litter. I've talked to the newspaper, I've talked to Troy, and I've talked to Mackenzie and Jordan. And, my husband and I we both own farms out in Pike County. And we clean up 4 miles ourselves. Plus, that's not counting the mile that's on my property. And, we've talked to people, but you don't like that. You don't like, now what people have you talked to? See, I'm an ex-school principal. So I said, okay, give me names. But anyway, I'm concerned about the litter in Pike County, and I know you are too. I mean, we all are. But I've done a lot of research, and I know why do people litter. And the number one reason, you'll be surprised, is most people I ask say it's ignorance. But people litter where there's already litter. And you may know that. So if they see litter, they feel like, well, I can litter there too. What's going to be the harm? And then there's the cost of littering. $1.3 million a year for states, counties, and cities to pay for littering. And that's a lot of money. And it's hard to really determine how much money is spent on littering because it's usually not a line item. And it's usually hard to really calculate how much is spent on litter. But the cost is there, and not just in money, but it's to our environment, our water, our water. And the one thing that really hurts our water the most is tobacco products, because they leach through and they get to the water table. But people don't see it, so they think it's nothing hurting. I've got some more information there, but I'm not going to go into the minutia because I know that y'all have time to read this. And I can almost predict where. But what materials are commonly littered? Now I was going to bring a display up here because on our roads, there's Keystone beer, there's Bud Light beer. Those are the 2 prevalent beers. There's McDonald's is the most popular cup. And the little plastic things that hold the bottles together. And straws. And straws are so dangerous because those things blow, and they blow into the waterway, and they go into the fish ponds, and they go into the reservoirs and the ponds and everything, and they don't break down. Now I want to give you another piece of paper, and it shows you how long it takes for something to break down. Plastic bags, 1,000 plus years. Plastic bottles, 450 years. Yes, and we do pick up disposable diapers, 450 years. Gum, you wouldn't even think about it, would you? It's the unseen culprit in a lot of places. But that's how long it's in our environment. Now, on our property, we get some blow-away stuff. Now, right now, if you go on the county highway, on county roads, especially dirt roads, you may not see as much litter because what's hiding it? The grass is growing. I've taken pictures of places where it's just accumulated in black bags and where it's next to people's farmland and it's next to people's houses. As a matter of fact, we live in, I'm sorry, but I just got off jury duty. That's why I'm a little late. We live in Heritage Ridge, and that entrance down below us, it's unimaginable what people throw there. And people going through our neighborhood, what they throw there. But mainly what I'm going to talk to you about, and I'm just not talking, I'm volunteering. Malin and myself, and Murphy's my husband, we pick up litter. We pick up things you wouldn't want to pick up. We find things you wouldn't want your children to find on the roads. But I want to start a campaign. Because if it's not in the people's eyes and ears, nothing's going to help. Because you know it's overwhelming. I mean, it's just so much of it that what can you do about it? Now, we do as a county, we have pickup. We pick up trash. And that's great. And in the city, we have recycling. And that's wonderful. Those are the top two things. Evidently, somebody has done some study, so right, on where to put receptacles. Receptacles should be within 25 feet of each other, or people aren't gonna walk. They're not gonna walk 30 feet, they're gonna walk 25 feet. There are so many cities, and Keep America Beautiful has done so much work. I have a notebook back there on litter abatement programs. But if you'll turn to the second page on D, strategies to prevent and clean and stop littering, waste management. We have a waste management control system. We do. We do have it in the city and the county. Having adequate and proper placement of receptacles. Now, we have parts in the county that can have receptacles that don't have receptacles. And we have them at gas stations, but do we have them at post offices? Do we have them, you know, people want to see them outside where they stop or where they're going, but they want to see them. Conduct educational outreach programs. Where do you start? The most people that litter are under the age of 30. Senior adults don't do most of the littering. It's the younger people. And usually it's by example, it's by laziness, it's just by, I can just toss it, I want to keep my car clean when I pick up my date, you know, I don't want to have litter in here, whatever the reason. But educational and outreach programs, basically to our youth. There are curriculums. I have a book right here that has curriculums about what to do about litter. Our state has the PALS program, Adopt a Mile. Many of our bigger cities and our bigger counties, Jefferson County has a litter abatement program. But identify and also identify the message. Oh, let me go back up. The educational outreach is changing attitudes. And where you change attitudes is with your youth. And it doesn't have to take place just in schools. There's churches. There's boys and girls clubs. There's anything in which the students are involved. There's sports teams. You know, the expectation that you will put your litter in a container. Identify the message. These people who do a good job are those people who have a message to send. They have a message identified with their city or their county, the state. Do you know what the state message is? I don't think so. You know what? And I can't remember what. Don't drop it on Alabama. Don't drop it on Alabama. If you went on the street and asked somebody, what is the Alabama cleanup program? They won't know because it's not out there. I've talked to the Troy Messenger and they're willing to put advertisement out there about different programs. Also, I thought about if we do something with it, if I get permission to really sort of go with this, I'd like to get with the schools and maybe have the schools work on a slogan program. I'm going to hand something out to you. This will give you sort of an idea. I don't have a lot of these, I'm sorry. But something to identify our county as not accepting litter. One of the highest strategies, one of the most popular strategies, is for the people, you, the commissioners, is to talk about it and put a message out there and an expectation that we don't litter in Pike County. And it's not acceptable. Make it a social norm. And the best way to do that is to put out some kind of slogan or something identifiable. Remember a long time they had the signs out, keep District 3 clean? Y'all remember those? I don't see them anymore. Now, I have learned one thing though. If you put up a do not litter sign in some places, people will tear those things down. They will use them as target practice. So I don't have the complete answer for that one, because I put up some out of our farm, but at least that's where they took the litter. I mean, I can pick it up in one place is where that sign is. But this is what I'm really getting after, a public official and slogans, messages, media. I haven't heard anything on the radio lately about really getting out there in April. April to June is the Alabama cleanup time. Your commission has a sign up for paddles on its website, but I haven't seen anything in the paper about it. I haven't seen anything about the Alabama, don't drop on Alabama spring cleanup of 2021. I haven't seen a thing about it. And this whole program, the people that sponsor this program are Coca-Cola, county commissions, let's see who else, Alpha Insurance, Honda, Quality Co-op Products. These people have not been tapped in our county. These people have not been contacted by our county to help fund a cleanup program. I want to start something. Identify the messages. Okay, public transportation. On buses, we have buses around here. We could be advertising. Use of roadways, post positive messages about Pike County. School children, curriculum, littering, recycling, environment, develop awareness and stewardship. And what can public officials do? Lead by example, by deed and words. Understanding the ill effects of litter, and I've given you that information. Understanding offenses and laws. What happened in 2019? It's not $300 fine anymore, it's $500 fine for a cigarette butt. And it can go up to $3,000. That was passed by the state of Alabama. Understanding of programs already in place and tagging on to them. There's so much stuff online. I thought I don't have to create anything, or if somebody takes this over, they don't have to create anything. Sharing of information with residents and businesses. Development of opportunities for cleanup projects. And I just want to give you one sample of a brochure that was put out in Columbus, Ohio, that really talks about their whole campaign. And it's basically an education campaign, which could be one resource for a model for Pike County. What I want us to step forward in this, I want us to be a model county. I'm not talking about city, because city has theirs, they keep Troy clean. But I haven't seen anything for Pike County, and I'd like to see that happen. So I just want to put an okay.
Ms. Murphy, thank you for being here. We've been working on this since before I was commissioner. It's an ongoing problem that we face every day, and hopefully we can do something about it at some point.
Sorry, I was so nervous.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody else have anything to bring up before the commission at this time? Okay. I would like to do one thing. Chase, I'm going to put you on the spot. Chase Cobb is here. He's our Economic Development Director. And Chase, just welcome. Just wanted to make sure everybody knew you were here. Thank you.
I appreciate it, Mr. Chairman. And now I really feel like I'm at home now.
We're glad you're home. If nothing else come before the commission at this time, we will go ahead and adjourn the work session. Our regular meeting will begin at 6 p.m. Let the record show that all commissioners are present. The approving of the minutes from the past meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Barron,
Second.
second by Commissioner Wright. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Approving of the claim.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Johnson. Second by Commissioner Pearson. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Before we get started, I have Ms. Katie here from
Pike Regional Child Advocacy Center. So you'll come on up right quick.
Sure. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name is Haley Green, for those of you that don't know me. I'm with the Pike Regional Child Advocacy Center. I took over the position of director in October. I've been there nearly 7 years. So, not a new face, but a new face to the director position. I just wanted to come and introduce myself to you all, as the new director. April is Child Abuse Awareness Month, as a lot of you know. I want to thank the commission for your monthly appropriations. We greatly appreciate that. And I wanted to invite you all to our proclamation next Friday. It's at noon. I brought some invitations for you all. It's at noon at the Child Advocacy Center. We've been kind of, back to normal somewhat at the Advocacy Center. We are doing our typical fundraisers, t-shirts, pinball gardens, blue ribbons, and spirit nights. But COVID has, taken a hit to us with some of our fundraising efforts, and that's kind of put a damper on things. But as far as seeing children and services and whatnot, that hasn't stopped, but we are seeing decreased numbers as far as the amount of services that we are seeing. But we haven't had a hiccup in it at all, but just the amount of kids that we see in the center. I think kids being virtual and not as many kids being in school, what it was, 2 years ago, I wouldn't say a year ago, because that was, highly pandemic. So, but you guys have any questions for me? Anything?
Thank y'all for what you do. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, Ross.
Mr. Chairman, we only have 2 items that require action tonight. The first is our personnel recommendation, as discussed in the work session.
So you got 3, you have to approve the hiring of these 3 operators.
Yes.
Chairman, I'll make the motion.
Motion by Commissioner,
Second.
second by Commissioner Johnson. All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Thank you. And lastly, the recommended upgrades to the county fuel system.
Put that in motion, Chairman.
Motion by Commissioner Johnson,
Second.
second by Commissioner Copeland. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Question for the engineer?
I do. I apologize, I don't normally do this to you, but I forgot last week, so I'm gonna mention this while I'm sitting here with Alan as well. If the 2 of you spoken about the question that was posed to me on the Shellhorn site that we've been working on, in the probate office, it does not show there being an easement to that property. So I reached out for Mr. Allen to the adjoining owner, and the first comment he made, he said, well, I'm sure it's not an easement, it was a county road my whole life, until they put the gate up when the elementary school closed. And he made a comment that as a child, his grandfather bought that property that we would cross to get to the site we're looking at swapping in 1901, I believe. And he said, when I was a child, that road actually went beyond the school, the elementary school, and crossed the train tracks and intersected into the, I don't know the proper number, but the Snake Road, the one you've been trying to get vacated, but that 140 has kept that from happening, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, sir.
And he said, I'm sure it's not an easement, because he said it was just a county road up until, he said, when the train crossing went out, he said it stopped being a through road and it just went to the school. And he said, and then when the school closed down, he said the gate just got put up, and it didn't bother me, so I never asked the question. But I need you to do a little looking for Mr. Allen to see, is there any record where some commission eons ago did not properly vacate that road, and we can just affirm, hey, this is still a public road, it's access to, if not, we're going to go through the issue of getting easement stuff from the adjoining owner, but if it was a public road, was ever properly vacated, then we need to do something to affirm it still is a county road, so you have access to the site, and we can get that deal done.
Well, I hope it is, because from our perspective, we've been continuously maintaining it as an access to the sheriff's shooting range. So, you know, it would meet the maintenance test.
It just doesn't show up on the tax office maps and anything like that, and I assume there's not a sign that says county road, something, whatever it may be.
I don't think so, not if, you know, it's gated.
Well, hopefully then it'll just be a matter of it being.
I'm sorry, I don't normally hit you with things in the meeting like that, but I forgot last week, and while the two
And
are here, let's.
As Russell knows, Commissioner Johnson knows, I did a full title search on it. And that's how we.
And he
found
doesn't show
out.
that easily, and the adjoining owner said, well, it's not going to, it was a county road, you know, so
So Russell, let's get together and we can come up with probably a pretty easy solution, and then we can go ahead
move
and
on.
move on with, the Pike County Board.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
One for you, Lee. The 4406, renaming, everything's been done that needs to happen for that, right?
I can't say for sure. I don't have that information with me tonight.
I know we got a petition signed by all the adjoining landowners. I know Renee has spoken with them about, they gotta buy the signs.
Do you have a copy of the petition?
Y'all have it. It was
Okay.
mailed to me,
Say y'all have it.
Okay.
and I gave it to Derek.
Okay.
And if I understood right from Miss Renee, and y'all talked as well, she indicated everything was done.
I believe that's right, I just don't have it with me. I didn't bring it with me.
Let's wait then. I want you to confirm we've done everything correctly. We've got all our T's crossed and I's dotted before we,
What was your question?
so,
I'm sorry, you were talking about, we were talking high enough.
I'm sorry. I asked, I think I showed you where, we had been asked to rename 4406. I was just asking if all the paperwork, everything was in order to do that. And since he's not 100% sure, I think
Is
we're
he expecting the county to pay for the sign? I had to pay for it.
No, sir. No, we don't, that's our policy, we do not.
Yeah, so
Taxpayers don't pay for the sign.
Ms. Renee at the road department has spoken with them and explained the process about the petition. And I know they got the petition as long as it was valid, and I sent that to the road department. And then she explained that they had to buy the sign to go there.
Cause I had to pay for my sign, the road I had to take. I'm not stressing it
Yeah, that's been the policy.
So confirm that for us, and if
Okay,
it's the case that it's been done right, in the next meeting.
Yes, I'll go ahead and get it scheduled for your next meeting. Make sure everything's been done, and we'll have it for you to vote on next meeting.
Commissioner Johnson.
If we could, before, since it looks like there may not be a meeting in the end of April, let's go on and talk, if y'all would allow, as a group, a little bit more about the roll-off dumpster sites, because we pushed 2 meetings ago to let's go on and get, him to come back with some proposed sites. Chad's got the meeting after that, we instructed him to go on with this site cost spreadsheet. Chad has got the camera stuff, and if we don't at least talk a little more about it, not another month's gonna go by, we're not gonna have given him any direction. Do you have the memo from the first stuff out with you from Coffee County? Or we could just talk about that after, a little tonight?
I think so.
And if we don't talk about it tonight, it's gonna be another month, and then we'll be drug out another month, and we'll be halfway through the year and won't have took any action on this at all. But, so what was the cost per month by site? And I know it varied on how often they were dumped, et cetera, et cetera. That first, if you could refresh everybody's mind, what was the cost Coffee County gave you in the dumpsters?
Well, it The total, I think, for 4 dumpsters was from $1,000 to $2,000 a month. And that was,
Depending on how often they were done, is that
Right.
correct?
that was for an average of a 7-ton dump. It's for a 20-yard roll-off dumpster, 20 cubic yard roll-off dumpster.
1 to 2,000 a month per site or for 4 sites?
It was
It was not that much.
$2,800, I think it was $2,842 was the estimate for one site.
A year?
For-
A year.
Yeah, I believe that's right, yes. I'm trying to go back through and read back through my notes.
The
Yes, that's
total,
correct.
what was the total reoccurring cost we looked at? Wasn't it about $16,000 a year? Was it something in that neighborhood for 4 sites to be dumped?
For the total, you mean?
Yeah.
Just for renting the dumpsters?
Yeah, in the dumping?
Well, no, it was that range I just mentioned. I mean, it was anywhere from, the absolute minimum that would be right around $11,000 a year. And then the maximum that we estimated that we probably, if we had to, I think, dumping once a week or something like that, was like $23,000 a year. But it's,
Then what was the fee to have each site set up? They were going to charge us a fee per container, weren't they?
that included that. That was kind of I put in the other memo that Mr. Thornton with Coffee County recommended that we do a trial run with just one dumpster. And the reason he did that was not for our benefit, but for his, because the price they quoted us is the permanent location price. It's a different fee structure.
3-year contract or a 5? What was the permanent?
He didn't say how many years or, if you have to sign a contract. He just said for a permanent location, if we were gonna leave it, keep a site there, that would be the fee. And then it's a totally different fee structure if it's just a temporary site. So in other words, if he came in and set up 4 sites that he thought was gonna be permanent,
And would kill the deal in 6 months.
or a month or whatever, then they would lose money on it. So, he's probably, if we start out with 4 sites, he's probably gonna need some assurances that.
We'll at least give them a year or some time period.
And I don't know what that time period's gonna be, I'd have to ask him.
So you're saying that your max on that estimate is $23,000 a year on the dumping and the setting up of the, correct?
That's right.
So if we put that in you're looking at, in the 6240 on the internet, which is 4 sites at 12 months, we're right at 30 a year in reoccurring cost. And $15,020 on capital costs to set up 4 sites. What we have done, made an expenditure out of the money that was set up for litter picking up in how long, in 12 months now, Mackenzie? Has there been any of that money allocated to anything else in the past 12 months?
I think so, I think to the month, I think it's been exactly 12 months. Is that right? Was it March last year or April when we had to stop, when they locked down the work release?
It would have been starting in April, and I think we would have had some of the time in March that we.
So the money that had been allocated out of the savings in the commission office towards the litter program the past year, has that money just sat there, built up each month?
We have spent some, but, yes, I mean, it hasn't been starting this, and we did, have to do the transmission work, I believe, or something on the
That's
van.
right,
There
that's
was some
right,
expense,
yeah.
it was
Yeah,
not
we've had some
money
equipment
spent.
expenditures.
And we went in and got that fixed while it wasn't being used. And then I don't know, how long did the guy stay that was doing it before? Because he was still around working.
He left right after we, after they locked down the work release.
I couldn't remember, was it right after, it was a month or two later, I couldn't remember.
That all kind of happened at the same time.
next time we have a meeting. We need the two of y'all to have a discussion between now and then, that we need an answer from the man in Coffee County. Is a year guarantee on 4 sites enough just to go in and set up 4 of them, or if not, what is the time frame? At $15,000, $20 on capital money, is that setting in unused funds from the trash program over the past year? And we need to just have a discussion on the 23,000, if that, how is that gonna affect the ongoing litter program? I know you gave us some numbers about taking that part-time position to full-time to do the litter program once we're able to bring it back up and maintain these sites. And I would say we need to be able to come back to a meeting in May with a look at, in addition to the 40,000 we were allocated to a litter program, what is this gonna add to it? And we need to come back with an answer to the 6 commissioners, how we could propose moving things around to fund that. Do y'all have a problem with maybe the 3 of us, 4 of us sitting down since we'll have a meeting next Monday, could we plan on just going and plan? Let's try to sit down at some point next Monday here in the office and we'll hash some of that out or start that conversation. You think that'd be okay? Okay.
Next week's not.
Okay.
I'm gonna change it. The next week, but the next week I'm gonna change
Can we look at our calendar?
Yeah, let's look at our calendar and get a talk going, so that when we come back to the next meeting in May, we can have, I'd like to be able to present them something, if this will stay on the agenda, that we could vote on in the next meeting and get this thing going before the end of the month in May, if that's doable. So,
You fine? You get them?
I just have a question for you, Commissioner. You said in May, you're trying to get for the May meeting?
well, she's drug out a month and a half already, but I'm just throwing that on
We
the
have
table.
enough, reason why I asked, we have enough meeting, so are you trying to?
Well, I was scared, Mackenzie mentioned in that work, at that next meeting, and it's on a state holiday, so if we don't vote tonight to move it to a different day, we
It
won't
has
have
to be
it.
May.
And I was just, you know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
I was scared if we didn't talk about this longer tonight, it wouldn't get talked about for another month, and then it'd be another month, or we had some prayer meetings.
Get us an update on the work release. People's way, the update, maybe they won't take the call, but make an attempt.
Okay.
Anybody
They'll
else?
take the call, I'm pretty sure, but they probably won't have any good
Yeah,
news.
so,
You got one?
yeah. We need to survey the whole county and see where we can spot these things. 'Cause, 2 weeks ago, we went to the Meatsville there, and I had an 18-foot trailer, and it was full. And a lot of places will be the same thing. If we put one in Shellhorn and one somewhere else, that ain't gonna help the commission, whoever will help us, clean it up. We got to haul it around, try to find some way to put it.
Well, if y'all want to allocate $60,000 a year, I'm fine putting 8 of them out. But it was just to get it going. He's already done the survey, and he picked these 4 sites at the intersection of 1156 and 1166, 7714, south of Orion, where the old park pullover used to be, where the concrete work, picnic benches used to sit. The intersection of 4404 and 4434, and 3314 and 3316, these are not gonna stop the littering. What I had hoped by pushing on this is we can start to stop the dumping. And if 6 months into this seemed to be a success, but it needed to be expounded upon, we can expand upon it. But, somebody's not getting a couch to the Farnell Road without driving from somewhere. They're not getting a recliner up at the fire tower, that puts the truck driving at 15 miles. And my hope is if we can at least get these four set up and advertise them. Get in the paper, get on social media. Mike Amos will let us come on the show and just tell people, there are dumpsters. Don't drive your couch 15 miles out of the county and throw it in the ditch. There is a dumpster for it. I mean, they gotta drive them somewhere. And, the dump site stuff is not because my neighbor on Kelly Road's going 100 yards up the road and throwing his trash in the ditch. It's because somebody's driving 15 miles to get rid of a couch they don't want to pay or don't have a place like you were talking about to put it. And, you know, if it's a success, if these, if it doesn't cause Oliver to quit, keep it tidy around them. I mean, I think it's easily something you could wind up having, and I'm not being, Mr. Robbins' district doesn't have an equal one because they're fully serviced by the city of Troy. When you take the other districts, what is outside of the city of Brunswick and the city of Troy, I mean, I really do think at most down the road, 8 of these should cover the unincorporated parts of the county, you think. I mean, and I thought about this as Ms. Claire was talking about needing a trash can every 30 feet, and there's no way, we can't afford to put one on every county road. But, if we wound up down the road with 6 to 8 of them, if it works, we're gonna have to be willing to spend, up to 30 grand to set the sites up and $60,000 a year to maintain them.
And if that happens, I hope we can talk about a little more help too.
Anything else? Thank you, Russell. Alan, you got anything to add for us? Commissioner Copeland has a report. Go ahead and talk about that.
Go ahead, I was just gonna drop down, executive session, but, we went through that, so.
We'll do it at the end of the meeting.
Yeah.
Please, everyone.
Well, I was gonna give y'all an update on Mims Creek project, since Mr. Herbert was here. So obviously that's joint between us and Brandage, and, so they've been working on the easements, getting the permissions to do that work. They're coming along with that fairly well. Mr. Herbert says he's found somebody that will do our, environmental studies. And then it's funded through the hazard mitigation, which McKinsey gave us a briefing on. That, my understanding from talking to Mr. Herbert, early last week was that obviously we approved it, it got through the state EMA, and there was a fee. So hopefully the funding's going to come along with that. And then a couple of the bills we've been watching, the Safer Places bill was signed into law, which is one that Mr. Herbert, again, wasn't here, will talk to us a little bit about. We've had part of our hazard mitigation money that we've got proposals out for 3 sites, right? But we've also got some places in the county that we volunteered to open some of those, during some of those times, but because of liability and rules, they can't. So maybe this will affect that. Mr. Reed will talk, maybe, give us a briefing about that next meeting. And then a couple other bills that we've been watching, property tax sales, that one passed and signed by the governor, and the board of equalization passed and signed by the governor. And I think that's it, unless did y'all have any luck working that out, or are we still on hold, McKinsey?
Do it.
We're still on hold?
We're trying to make sure that we know the exact name of the resolution. So I'm trying to find the name. You have, that's what we're trying to figure out.
Okay.
Do you need a minute, please?
Well, no, they were trying to work out that road name change. So I'm on forward. We can address it in the meeting. We'll work it out. If we don't, then we'll go to the next meeting.
Okay. Any other commissioner have anything to add? Okay, administrator report.
up the contract with air disposal, and it is not something that, you all would have to vote on. They just have to notify you, and I believe they met that. The second item would be the, and I guess I want to tell you, I'm going to request that you suspend the rules and vote on these, if you feel like you can. If not, we can move on. But it would be for the Boys and Girls Club Board appointment of Ms. Cynthia Pearson, the new bank accounts as listed, and permission to advertise for administrative assistant in the commission office.
So this motion will be to suspend the rules for all three items, and then we would need to vote on them on the separate. So I need a motion.
Chairman, I make a motion to suspend the rules to deal with these three items.
Motion by Commissioner Johnson,
Second.
second by Commissioner Copeland, requires a roll call vote.
Yes.
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 Motion carries, and
Chairman, I make a motion to address the air disposal service price increase. Oh, I'm sorry, Boys and Girls Club Board one points. I'm sorry. Read in order instead of reading what I put in.
Sorry.
I apologize. I make a motion that we appoint Commissioner Pearson to the Boys and Girls Club.
motion by Commissioner Johnson, second by Commissioner Barron. Did you say that? I'm sorry, couldn't hear you. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Investing, what is it?
The next, now then, we're gonna move that down to current business.
Yeah.
The bank accounts, correct.
Yes, the bank.
We can make one motion for all three accounts.
Yes.
That'll be fine.
Chairman, I make the motion to open the three new bank accounts needed by the county administrator.
Motion by Commissioner Johnson,
Second.
second by Commissioner Pearson. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
The third one is personnel. Make a motion to honor the administrator's request to advertise for office assistant in the commission office.
Motion by Commissioner Johnson.
Second.
Who said that? Commissioner Copeland, second by Commissioner Copeland. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and as I said, we'll move the Invest in Alabama with ACCA program down to a current business, so we can have a little more time to look over that. Under current business, we have the personnel request from the Revenue Commissioner's Office to approve Casey Churchill as appraiser one position, and if you do this, it will leave an opening in the Revenue Commissioner's Office, and they would like to request advertisement for a customer service representative to two positions.
And all that can be one motion.
Mr. Chairman, I put that in
Motion by Commissioner Barron,
Second.
second by Commissioner Wright. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, and the only other item that, for the executive session would be the scheduled meeting is for April the 26th. Do you want to reschedule that or just move out to the first meeting in May?
It's whatever you guys want to do. We can have it on Tuesday, the 27th, or we can cancel it. You want it on Tuesday? Everybody good with that? Okay, then, I need a motion for the meeting to be changed to April 27th.
So,
Motion by Commissioner Wright,
Second.
second by Commissioner Johnson. All in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. The time will remain the same. Work session will still be at 5:15.
And we'll notify everybody of the change in the meeting as required. Then, did y'all find something on that?
Yeah, so that name was the right name, right?
Dr. S.D. James Boulevard.
Okay, that's what's in there. Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that, like you said, all the requirements have been met. Would it be possible to, if you want to go ahead and approve it pending, all of the requirements being met? Or in
Yeah,
accordance with our policy for naming roads?
Yeah, I was kind of in the same boat. I mean, from my understanding now, I'm not the, that's why we got you guys to send the stuff too. But I know they mailed that in, about 2 months ago?
It's been a little while.
Yeah, and what I didn't want, which we've approved to meet on Tuesday, so I'm a little less apprehensive, let it float 2 weeks and have another month if we're unsure. But I think our last meeting, Derek took that so that y'all could double check. So why don't we let it float since we're gonna meet on Tuesday, but let's, just let me know. I think Ms. Renee's had, correspondence with, if you can get her, give them an update.
Okay.
We're just making sure everything's good, and we'll address it next, bring it before the whole commission next meeting.
I'll make sure it's in there.
The only other item would be the executive session.
Okay, I need a motion to go into executive session.
So,
Motion by Commissioner Pierce, second by Commissioner Johnson. Roll call vote.
Yes.
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 Due to the COVID restraints, I'm gonna ask all the rest of you guys to leave. Kaylee, if you wanna go ahead and pass out your stuff, go ahead. Executive session is now closed, and we'll reconvene for the regular meeting. Anything else need to come before the commission at this time?
I'd like to ask a question.
Yes, sir.
I noticed we're going to executive session about commercial trade. Is that could be legit? Because this is taxpayer money that we deal with.
Could you get what?
The question is, we went into executive session for commercial trade.
Yeah, but the reason that's an exception is because if what you were offering and your incentives that you were negotiating back and forth with somebody were being watched by your competitor, that you were competing against, say, Panama City, Florida, and they knew everything you were doing,
They would offer more.
then, I mean, that's why you can go into executive session for that purpose. And that includes what they shared, which is the name of the business.
Yep.
It's just like we did with Rex.
It's not public knowledge yet.
It's just like we did with Rex and that,
Like,
the culvert, concrete culvert, we did that with,
Everybody was there with it.
So this is a different situation. We are trading different property. The Rex is coming in because they already purchased the property.
no.
They don't tell me that.
Well, why did we ride around multiple sites with them, and then
This
they
is all
were,
they were looking for.
And they were-
site.
they were going to Mississippi as well?
Or they were going to,
Arkansas.
Arkansas.
Arkansas, both places, Philadelphia, Mississippi, or Camden, Arkansas.
Yeah, it was.
I don't want to get hung up in something that,
wait a minute, are we, is this?
Yeah,
We are back in, we are back out of executive session, that is on.
It's so that's not,
what I would.
Yeah, we got
a
It's a
discussion.
trade.
Yes, it still is executive session.
Well, we came out.
I
well,
know.
then this, I mean, you're naming names of, if I heard that right, maybe I didn't.
I think,
No, we were naming names of ones that we had already done. We said this is the same thing we did with Rex when they were looking at Mississippi and.
well, I think,
I mean, you're trying to protect the person who's coming or considering you, expects you to protect their identity as well, so they don't get the shaft put to them by a competitor that might know what we're trying to offer. You know, it's like any other transaction. It's like when we purchase or we're negotiating the sale or purchase of real estate, we're allowed to go into executive session. We don't have
I
to let,
understand that,
yeah,
It's the same.
no, I'm just saying this is the same.
but you got this word in here, trade, though. You didn't say purchase.
Well, that's part of.
commerce and trade are the same thing. He's not talking about trading anything. Commerce and trade is business trade, just, I mean, it's what they're talking about.
We're talking about government, we're not talking about individuals.
The commerce and trade exception just means
That's what it's
commerce
called.
and trade. It's just trades like trading stock. I mean, it means business. It's not talking trading anything. It is the definition of the word in that use is no different than commerce or
It's
trade.
economic
trade.
It's the same.
It didn't
But
say.
Commissioner Wright, that, I'm sorry.
See, we already know what we do, you know, what we trying to trade with. Well, I'm talking about tax folks do not know what's the deal is. We get screwed anyway.
I don't get it.
I don't understand
I
that.
don't understand.
You can't go in executive session with swapping the trade. It's gotta be on the name of a good character.
There's multiple things. We've gone to executive session of personnel and real
Well,
estate
that's a good
transactions.
character, but that's personnel.
We've done it for this exact thing several times.
You can go in executive session and say, McKenzie's fixing to go get the book. One of them is trade, commerce, trade, whatever, that's the name of it. One is for security.
We've done that.
You can go in, we've gone executive for security, so that the world out here doesn't know what your security system is. So they can break in the courthouse. All that can be secret. And trade and commerce means, that just means business. Trade is, that Homer runs this type store, I run this store, and we're talking about doing the business and negotiating, and, the seventh, this is the Open Meetings Act. The seventh, I'm just, because it is, I understand what you're saying, but the seventh exception, they're non-listed by the Alabama legislature by name. We just gonna call them out. General reputation and character. We call that good name and character. Employee disciplinary matters. We've gone to executive session multiple times for that. Obviously, pending or threatened litigation, because you don't want me as your lawyer talking what our strategy is gonna be, and the other side is sitting out there watching the thing live on TV, planning what they're gonna do in the case. That's always confidential. So you go, security matters, I'm just quoting, criminal investigations, purchase or sale of property, matters of commerce or trade, public employee negotiation strategy, and administrative hearing matters. And just to expound a little bit, a governmental body may convene an executive session to discuss preliminary negotiations involving matters of trade or commerce in which the governmental body is in competition with private individuals or entities or other governmental bodies, either in Alabama or in other states or in foreign nations. And then it goes on to talk about this in more detail, but I mean, I think that's sufficient to just matters of trade and commerce are specifically permitted for executive session, just like attorney-client privilege discussions, just like security, just like good name and character, it's given the same exemption. For the reasons I said, it's to protect what you're seeking. You may be offering some company 10 years worth of tax abatements and also $100,000 worth of training for employees and a parcel of land, and then some other city they're talking to finds out about that, and suddenly they know